Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for the full moon in Sagittarius. And this is the first full moon after the eclipse in Scorpio full moon that we had last May. But we are still feeling this eclipse season. We are still feeling it even though the intensity is fading away. But during this full moon we still have some intensities present through other aspects and echoing intensity of the eclipse that happened in Scorpio. That was South Node eclipse, and it was pretty intense, it was pretty dark, it was pretty transformative, and we are still dragging those changes and transformations within ourselves. We are still feeling the weight of those eclipses, of those energies, of those changes that we have experienced, but we have not yet processed them completely. And it's very interesting that after Scorpio we have Sagittarius, and astrology actually teaches us that death is not the end. That is, for me, the most profound and most transformative message that astrology can teach us, that death is not the end. There is transformation. So after the 8th house and Scorpio, where we have death and rebirth, comes Sagittarius and the 9th house, the wisdom, the knowledge, the light, the freedom, the reborn energy. So all that we have transformed and integrated, we now bring into light. So in Scorpio we went down into our depths of the underground. We descended into our own basement, into the depth of our soul, and then transformed we rise. And there we have Sagittarius with bow and arrow. He is the archer, and so do we do the same. After that descendant, we go into ascension mode, and we use our bow and arrow, our logic and intuition, our intention, connected with our rational mind, and we use our intention to shoot that arrow into the future, to shoot that light, to shoot that transformation for the next cycle. So we learn about cycles. Every full moon, every new moon is shift of energies, and it's a new cycle. So everything happens in cycles and in spirals. We always move. And when we know things, we understand them, and the understanding of the things that we know gives us the wisdom. And that wisdom sets us free from suffering. That is what this full moon is all about. It's about helping us to release those very heavy emotions that we carry. It's helping us release and understand them. It's helping us understand our emotional processes. It helps us understand our feelings. It helps us understand why we've been through some things. It helps us understand why we had to go through some things. We don't necessarily have to understand it in a linear way, like this happened because of this. It's not so strict, but we understand it on an emotional level. It's our emotional body that is going through a healing, and our mental body is helping us, because Sagittarius is mentality, and Scorpio is about emotional body, while Sagittarius is our mental body. It's a mental plane, it's a higher mind. While Gemini represents the lower mind, Sagittarius is the higher mind. And during this full moon, of course, the sun is in the opposite sign of the moon. So the sun is in the Gemini. Whenever we have full moons, if the full moon is in one sign, the sun is in the opposite sign. So during this time we have Sagittarius Gemini polarity. Sun is in Gemini, full moon is in Sagittarius. It's somewhere around 13 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's very interesting, because it's all about the knowledge. It's about the knowledge and the wisdom. It's our ability to understand things, to integrate them, and to understand that we have integrity and dignity, and we carry that spark of divine intelligence within ourselves. we are on the quest for truth, we are on the quest for freedom, but the question is what freedom really is. What is freedom? Am I free when I have a lot of money? Am I free when I don't have anyone superior over me telling me what to do? Am I free when no one has any power over me? Am I free when I'm free to choose whatever I want at any moment? Am I free when I'm able to live anything that is not aligned with my highest purpose? I think the last one would be the most appropriate definition, even though we cannot put these things into any definitions. And the truth is never definite. It's not something we can put into the words and like say, this is the truth, this is the definition of the truth. There is no such thing. When we know some things, we just know them. And this is where our intuition comes, and we have to use our intuition and our logic to keep ourselves sane, but also to allow ourselves to listen to our inner voice. So Sagittarius is all about freedom, wisdom, knowledge, learning, teaching. It's about sharing information. It's about telling stories. It's about roaming on the road, being free. It's about traveling. Whether that travel is physical travel, moving places, going to different countries, speaking different languages, or that travel may be a virtual travel. It could be spiritual travel as well. And I think that one is the most important one, our spiritual journey, because this is what Sagittarius is all about. And we are aiming high. This is the time when we ask big questions, and answers may be much more important. Actually, questions may be much more important than answers. So we are ready for some big questions. So those big answers will come to us through the time, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't come. What matters is that we know what we want. So this is the time when we are asked, what do we really want? And what is freedom? What is wisdom? What are our first associations of wisdom and freedom? For each of us it's different, but we have to set our priorities which are aligned to our associations of wisdom and freedom. So, as I said, let's see if freedom for us is our ability to live anything that is not aligned with our highest purpose, to leave anything that is not serving us anymore. Are we free to say goodbye to things that we know are not good for us, even if that means that we will die a little bit inside of us? Are we ready for that kind of death, so that we we receive a ticket for the freedom? Are we ready? We have to sacrifice something for freedom. Freedom is not for free. We have to earn it as well. And we are learning and earning these things. And full moons, each full moon is a time of great culminations. It's time of great emotional intensity. So we are being very reactive during the times of the full moon. And you know the phrase lunatics, it comes from the times of full moons, because during the time of the full moon we are much more mechanical. We are under the influence of the energies and forces that are beyond our control, and we may snap, we may have crazy reactions, crazy ideas, things that we usually don't want to do or don't want to talk about. They come to us, and it's very important to be grounded. Whenever we have full moon, it's very good not to allow ourselves to go into those extremes, especially now this full moon in Sagittarius, because the ruler of this full moon in Sagittarius is Jupiter, and Jupiter can go into extremes. Jupiter is the planet of abundance and expansion. It magnifies everything it touches, it exaggerates, it goes into extremes, so it can make something very huge out of something very small. So let's be careful not to go into those negative extremes, not even into positive extremes, because it's not good. Even if something good is good and we do it too much, it turns out to be not so good for us. It turns out to be destructive in some way and damaging in some way. As we know, for instance, the Sagittarius energy can be a lot about having fun and partying, and Sagittarius is related to centaurs, and centaurs from mythologies and ancient stories are known to be partying, wild parties, all drunk and having fun and partying. So if we go into that extreme, it can really turn out to be also bad for us. This is just an example. It doesn't at all have to go into that direction, but it's just an example of how something that seems to be fun and good can turn out to be very damaging and unhealthy and destructive. So Jupiter is planet of abundance and good luck and prosperity and wisdom and meaning, but it doesn't always necessarily need to bring positive and good stuff, because it can magnify things that are there, that we have to see them, whether they are good or bad. It can magnify them. So it's very important to stay grounded, because Jupiter is in Taurus. Taurus is about groundedness, and now we have this opportunity to be grounded and to feel expansion of groundedness and expansion of inner peace and expansion of our connectedness with our bodies, with our physical bodies, with our skin, with the touch, with nature. It's very good if we spend time in nature. Of course, this is always good. It's always very healthy for us to be in nature, but especially during these times when we have full moons and new moons, especially full moons, and now with Jupiter, the ruler in Taurus, nature, it's good to touch things in nature, to touch the tree, to walk barefoot, to touch flowers, to smell the flowers, to just connect, to observe the sky, to observe the green scenery around you, to rest your eyes, to rest your nervous system, to learn how to rest. Because if we don't do that, we may go into some other distraction and into another extreme, where we may feel that we have to do some things that we don't really want to do. But we may have that need and tendency to do those things because we have a need for adventure, or we have a need for something totally new and exciting, which is also good, of course. I'm not saying not to do those things. Yes, do go on an adventure. This is very needed now, but we have to have that wisdom of knowing what is good and what is not good for us at that same moment, because there is not one rule for everything. There is not one rule for everything. We cannot always say yes. We cannot always say no. We have to learn how to discern, and this is again the wisdom of the Gemini and Sagittarius. Learn to discern, knowing what is right and what is not right at every given moment. And this is the wisdom of knowing these things and knowing where we want to go, what is good for us, what is feeding my soul, and what is feeding my egoic self. Of course, we have to have ego. Without ego, we cannot exist. Without ego, we cannot live in this reality. We cannot talk to each other. We cannot exchange knowledge. We cannot learn things. We cannot use rational mind. We wouldn't be able to exist without ego. But what we have to do is we have to learn how to reparent our ego, because now we are in the service of egoic selves, instead of us being able to put ego in the service of ourselves, and not the opposite. So we have to learn how to become masters of our ego, learning how to keep the wheel, how to control the ride, and not just letting it go without our consciousness, without our awareness, because we are usually mostly on an autopilot, and this is the time to learn how to keep our hands on the wheel and how to be really present and how to use our knowledge and information that we have in order to apply it in any given moment in a wise way. So every full moon is a time when something culminates, something comes to a head, something is being brought to light, something that has been hidden or unknown or unseen is illuminated. It is now able to be acknowledged and known. Something that has been unknown becomes known. Or it can also bring things to a fruition. Something that we've been working on can finally manifest now. It can finally see the light of the day. So if we've been learning something, if we've been putting our efforts into learning something, into our spiritual path, into our education, for example, into anything that is related to Sagittarius archetypes, we may now see it manifested or coming to light. But the shadow side of the Sagittarius, the shadow side is too much talking, gossiping, mental distractions, too many mental distractions, being reckless, restless, our mind feeling like we are losing our mind, literally. Our mind, our thoughts running faster than the speed of light. Like we feel burnout, mental burnout. And we may say things that we don't want to say. We may say things that we may regret later, because now we also have Mercury and Uranus in conjunction. They are together in Taurus. So Mercury and Uranus, we can receive some surprising news too. We can receive some news that are shocking, perhaps. And this can happen on a global level too, but also in our individual life. Especially for those of us who have anything in fixed signs, in Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. And it's very good to be able to cut through any illusions now. Uranus is about awakening. It's about the truth and awakening. And it's sudden, it's very quick energy. And Mercury, it's about words and communication. It's about our ideas. It's about our ability to express our thoughts. So we may be able to express quickly our thoughts and ideas and to manifest them, because this is Taurus. Taurus is embodiment. It's about manifestation. And also we have in Taurus, Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, in conjunction with North Node. So North Node is at the very beginning of Taurus, and Jupiter is also at the very beginning of Taurus. But North Node is finishing its journey through Taurus, and it's about to enter Aries very soon. But North Node goes in the retrograde style. It goes backwards. So now there is a combustion of Jupiter and North Node. And North Node has been here for the last 18 months or so. And we've been feeling this energy through every eclipse cycle that we had. And North Node is the place of our highest aspirations, but it's also the place we are afraid of. We are afraid to go there, even though we feel attracted and drawn to that energy. We may feel afraid to move towards that place because it's something unknown, it's new. So this can also bring to light and to expansion things that we are afraid of, things that we are afraid of seeing manifested, and but things that we actually want. This can also be our fear of manifesting our dreams, fear of success, fear of seeing ourselves in the best case scenario. We are usually talking about worst case scenario, but we may be very much afraid of the best case scenario, like this, it's not possible to happen to me. So it's very good to ask ourselves, why are we so much attached to worst case scenario, and why are we so much afraid of the best case scenario? Why we cannot imagine the best case scenario? What is blocking us? What is the barrier? What is the block? What is the blockage there? Is it emotional or mental blockage, or is it both? Where does it come from? Where is the source of that blockage? Who taught us that we cannot manifest the best case scenario? Who told us that manifestation of our dreams happens only to few people and it's a miracle? Who taught us these things? Who told us that this is true? What if we've been told that we can always manifest the best case scenario? What if we've been told that we have the power to manifest our dreams? What if we've been told that all the wisdom we are seeking for is within ourselves? What if we've been told that all the emotional security, protection, love, wisdom that we are looking for, or all the divine love and physical that we are looking for is hidden and locked within ourselves under the layers and layers and layers of the dust that has been accumulated within ourselves because of the past conditionings and the conditionings that we've all been programmed with since the birth, and even in the prenatal period. So what if we've been told all these things? Let's try to reprogram ourselves. We can change these narratives. We don't have to live by those narratives. We can choose the narrative. This is again Sagittarius archetype of the storytellers. So let's tell our story. What is my story? What kind of story do I want to live? Our life is one story. So let's make this story the best story that it can be. We can create the story that we want. And when we create this story, we can actually transform all our past, not by going into the past, but by recreating our presence. And we definitely have this power. This is what this Sagittarius wisdom archetype is teaching us. After death comes this life, new wisdom. After the Scorpio and 8th house, there is 9th house. So after death, there is the wisdom, there is the light. So this is the wisdom keeper, the light keeper, the flame keeper. So who are we? Are we victims, self-victims? Are we feeling self-victimized? Are we drowning in self-pity? Or are we too much, too brave, too courageous? Because this is again the lack of wisdom. Because if we are too brave, without thinking, then we have a need to show it. But if we are truly in peace with who we are, if we are living naturally with who we are, we don't have a need to show anything. We will just live in alignment with all that is happening, without being taken away into all kinds of different sides whenever life gives us something good or something bad. And this is also the wisdom of Sagittarius. This is one of the biggest lessons that we have to learn during these times, not only now during this full moon, but during these times, in this time of between shift of ages, when we are definitely living in the moment when there is the dawn of the new age, the dawn of the age of Aquarius. This is definitely happening. We cannot deny it. We cannot unsee it. We cannot be blind to this. This is happening with or without our approval. It's a natural cycle. It's like we cannot stop the sun from rising. It's something that happens as a natural cycle. We cannot prevent night from falling, right? So this is the same for this age of Aquarius. We cannot affect it. It is happening definitely, but how it will happen, how it will manifest, it depends on us and our projections, our inner state of being, our ability to deal with our traumas, our ability to deal with our egoic selves, our ability to have pure intentions, our ability to heal ourselves. And it's very important to be into this state where we are able to be calm whatever happens. You know, if even if something happens that is terrifying, we shouldn't be terrified. I'm not saying not to be indifferent, but not to go into that extreme, but to keep the sanity. And also, if something amazing happens, not to go into that extreme of thinking that nothing bad can happen. This is very important. And I just remembered one story. I will try to tell it in the way I remember it, but the point is important. And it talks about one old man from village and his son. They lived in one small village, and all their lives they wanted to have a horse on their farm, and they worked very hard to get an ability to buy a horse. One day they finally managed, and they bought the horse, and the whole village came to their place to congratulate them and to celebrate with them. The neighbors came there, and the old man, and they were telling them like, congratulate, it's very good, you finally managed to get a horse, you will now have much better life, and stuff like that. And the old man said, who knows, we'll see. And the villagers were a little bit confused by his reaction, and they left. A couple of days passed, and a horse ran away. And villagers again came to an old guy and said, oh, what a pity, the horse left you, and you invested all of your money into this, into your horse. What are you going to do now? Aren't you in despair? And the old man again said, who knows, we'll see. Again, villagers were confused. And a couple of days later, horse returned with another 3 horses. So he actually brought 3 more horses to the farmer's place. And then the villagers again came to an old man and his son, and they were like, wow, what an abundance, look what happens, you knew like it will happen, well done, you reacted very good, look how God honored you and awarded you for your reaction, wise reaction. And the old man again said, who knows, we'll see. A couple of days later, the son of the old man wanted to ride the horse, and he did something wrong, I don't know what, but the horse got a little bit wild, and his son fell off the horse and broke his leg. And it was a bad injury, and he was in pain, and he was recovering for a couple of months probably. In the meantime, actually not in the meantime, but before that, the villagers again came, again said, oh, what a pity, this shouldn't have happened this way, why is this happening like this for you? And the old man again said, who knows, we'll see. Couple of days passed, and then in the meantime the war emerged. There was a war, and the army was coming into the village. They were taking people from the village to fight for them, or to do something, I don't know, to use them in some way. And a lot of villagers just escaped. A lot of villagers were taken by this army, and when they came into this old man's house, they looked at them and they said, they are useless for us. This is an old man, and this guy is sick, he cannot move, he has a broken leg, so they are useless for us, let's move. And again, after some time, the villagers came and said, you are so lucky, like, look what happened, this horse actually saved you and your son. And the old man again said, who knows, we'll see. So this is the end of the story, but the point is, the old guy was always grounded. He always said, who knows, we'll see. He wasn't allowing himself to be taken away emotionally by what other villagers were talking to him like, oh, let's joy, let's feel the joy, let's celebrate this horse, or let's go into the pity, let's now be in despair. No, he was just wisely observing, and he wasn't taken into any extreme. So this is what I'm talking about here. We have to learn to get into that state of being, and Sagittarius is very powerful for receiving these kinds of insights and being able to learn how to react on what is happening. And it's very good for going into some serious meditation during this time as well, because this full moon also makes a square with Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn in Pisces is about serious healing work. It's about serious healing. It's about really being disciplined when it comes to spiritual practices, because Pisces is about spirituality and transcendence and contemplation and meditation and dreams, and being able to dive deep within ourselves, to go into our subconsciousness, where all that there is. Our subconsciousness is very powerful. So Saturn in Pisces can help us, even though this is square, but squares help us break through some barriers. Squares help us get out of our comfort zone. Squares push us into uncomfortable situations where we have to do something that we usually wouldn't want to do. So these squares are very important. So during this time we have full moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius, again, sign of spirituality, spiritual teachings, spiritual teachers, spiritual practices, spiritual pursuits. It's all about that kind of wisdom. It's our quest for the truth. It's our quest for the knowledge. It's aiming high, asking big questions, thinking in a big way, seeing the bigger picture, expanding our consciousness, expanding our awareness, stretching our perception. And Pisces is about transcendence. It's about unconditional love. It's about oneness and unity. It's the unity field. So during this time we definitely have this opportunity. So if when everything outside of us is dark, we have nowhere else to look but on the inside. And this is where we can find that shiny flame, that spark of the flame that we have to turn on and to keep it lit on. So even if we are walking through the darkest place, we don't have to worry, because we ourselves are the light. We are that light that shines, and wherever we are, we will see things around us, because we are the light. So it's very important to keep that inner flame burning, and we can do this through discipline, through working on our emotional maturity, through working on cleansing and healing our past traumas, dealing with ourselves, dealing with our egoic needs, dealing with things that pull us down, dealing with things that drag us down, dealing with all our projections in relationships, dealing with all our fears. This is how we do these things. We have to get to know who we are. We have to be willing to do things that are uncomfortable, so that we can learn how to be wise like that old man from the story. And it's very important to learn to discern these things, to not be stretched into those extremes, even though we may be. I'm not saying we can definitely stop and immediately be some masters, of course, but we can continuously try to do so. And enlightenment and awakening is not about being eternally happy and blissful. It's exactly about what I just talked about. It's exactly this story that I talked about. It's about knowing knowing how to react on the inside. So it's not so much about what we are feeling. We cannot really control our feelings, but what we can control is our reaction to what we are feeling and to what is happening around us. It's how do we choose to react on those things. We can choose to react in a way that is disempowering, or we can choose to react in a way that is empowering. It's up to us. You know, we cannot really control how we are about to feel. Enlightenment and awakening and freedom are not guarantee. They are not guaranteeing us that we will eternally be in a blissful moment. That's not the point of life. But it's about us being able to withhold and to be calm and to be grounded and to have integrity and to have dignity in all the situations that are happening. You know, we have one saying, but it's hard to translate it. But anyway, it talks about that we shouldn't allow ourselves to become, to have low morals when things become hard, when we live in scarcity, when things become negative and when things become dark. Let's not allow ourselves to step into low morals and low behavior. And also, let's not allow ourselves to become too arrogant, too lazy, or too relaxed when things are good, when we live in abundance, and when there is nothing bad happening. So we have to know that life will bring us all kinds of ups and downs. Life will bring us the most beautiful and the most terrifying things. But our task is to learn how are we choosing to react on those things. What are our inner reactions? Our inner reactions are much more important than our external reactions. You know, we can react in all kinds of ways with other people. We can pretend. We are mostly pretending in our everyday life with people we meet, with people we work with our families, even with our closest ones, even with ourselves too. We are lying ourselves. We are lying to others. We rarely are honest about how we truly feel, what we are about, what are we thinking about. We are rarely honest. So it's very important to work on our inner honesty, to be honest within ourselves, to have pure inner reactions, because those inner reactions are what dictates and shapes our external life. This is what truly matters. But people think if they didn't do anything on the outside, if they didn't say anything, if they didn't react in some way, then it's good. But what are your inner feelings? What are your inner reactions? Are you burning on the inside? Are you sad to death? Are you desperate? What do you feel? Are you feeling joy when others are sad? And you feel ashamed to show that? What are you pretending about? What are we lying about to ourselves and to others? This is also important because, as I said, the shadow side of Sagittarius can be a lot about lies and pretending, but also can be about fanaticism. We can go into those kinds of extremes too, religious fanaticism too. We may see this in the world happening now as well. Idealism, going too much into idealism, going too much into that kind of fanaticism where we want to impose our will onto others, where we try to put our own truth into others people's thoughts, feelings and emotions, which is impossible. So let's just move away from that kind of need to impose our will and our truth and our opinion, our way of thinking. It's not serving us. It's not serving anyone actually. So this is a time to realize that there is a wisdom of our being. This is not knowledge and wisdom that we collected from the school and educational system, even though Sagittarius also has to do with education and higher degrees and master degrees. But this is more about the wisdom that we have inherited from ancient wisdom. Actually, this ancient wisdom doesn't necessarily mean it's in the past. This is a wisdom that is eternally young and that is all pervading in that kind of way. It's wisdom that we carry in our DNA, but not only in our physical DNA, but in our spiritual DNA, actually. These are the codes that we carry within ourselves. We have a code, just as every seed has a code within it. Every seed of every tree, of every plant has a code that it dictates the growth of that plant. So in the same way, we have a code for our own growth. And this kind of wisdom is inherited within our bodies, and we are able to unlock these things and to realize that there is time for everything. There is time for planting seeds, there is time for taking the fruits, there is time for growth, there is time for decay, there is time for being born, there is time for living, there is time for dying, there is right time for everything. And this kind of wisdom really allows us to somehow remove the exhaustion of so much worries about things that are outside of our control, and really helps us understand that when we know this right timing, and when we know the right measure of everything, we are able to truly live in this moment of being at peace with ourselves. So there is, time, as I said, time for everything, time for work, time for rest, time for sleeping, time for eating. And also there is right measure for everything, measure of knowing the right amount of eating, the right amount of sleeping, the right amount of talking, the right amount of exercising, the right amount of learning and sharing information. So the right measure and the right timing, these kinds of things we are learning now, because in order to really be free, we have to know these things, and we are learning these things now. And during this time, I forgot to mention one very important thing. Actually, I didn't forget, but I saved it for the last part of the video, and this is about Pluto. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, and we know that we had a Scorpio eclipse recently, and this is very much still about our shadows and shadows being exposed in the world and in our individual lives. And Pluto is at this moment when the full moon is happening is vitally opposing Venus in Cancer. Venus is somewhere around the last degrees of Cancer, and Pluto is on the first degrees of Aquarius. Mars is also opposing Pluto, and Mars is somewhere around the 8 degrees of Leo. So we have this kind of aspect, which is very important, and it can be very intense and very dramatic and deeply, profoundly transformational also. So we are still feeling that tension from eclipses, and we are still into it. So, and this Pluto is reminding us of this. So Pluto is the lord of the underworld, the lord of transformation, the lord of death and rebirth. Pluto, the Hades. So Pluto is now at the very early degrees of Aquarius, and it's currently retrograde. And it will retrograde back into Capricorn, where it has been ever since 2008. So Pluto has been in Capricorn for 15 years. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And this year, on the 23rd of March, Pluto shifted from Capricorn into Aquarius. Then it started its retrograde motion, and now it's coming back into Capricorn again to finish the unfinished business, to complete the exposure of the shadow when it comes to things that are related to corruption and the system and the structures in the system and our authority figures and authority in our lives and our discipline and maturity and responsibility. So we are going to feel this pressure there still. And Pluto will be moving back and forth between the last degrees of Capricorn and the first degrees of Aquarius until the end of 2024. So we will still have some work to do there, and these transitions of slow-moving planets are felt the strongest when they are shifting. So their influence of these slow-moving planets like Pluto are truly felt very deeply and strongly in these times now. And during this time of the full moon, this Pluto is making an opposition to Venus and Mars, two personal planets in two very personal signs, in Cancer and Leo. So we will feel this on a personal level too. Even though Pluto is about the collective and generational influence, but when it touches these personal positions, then it really hits and feels very personal. So we will feel the strong exposure of shadow and reconstruction of our intimate relationships, of our family lives, of our relationships with our closest ones, with close personal relationships, in love relationships, in all kinds of relationships, because Venus is about love, beauty, harmony, relationships, design, comfort, values, but she is now opposed by Pluto. So there will be shadow exposure in our intimate relationships, in our family relationships. We will feel this tension, this deep transformation, this sense of losing something, and we are going to project so many things. Maybe we are projecting onto our partners, our family members, our very close personal people, and maybe they are projecting onto us. So it's important to know that this aspect is very strong now. When we have opposition, it's a projection, and it involves two or more people, and Mars is in Leo. So we are acting from the heart. We are acting from the heart, and we are fighting for the things of the heart. We are fighting to unlock our heart chakra. Our heart chakra, when we are aligned with our heart chakra, then all other aspects of our life can be aligned with it. But if we open some other layers of ourselves before opening the heart chakra, then there is disbalance. Because if we don't do things from the heart, then no matter what we do, it won't be aligned. It won't matter. There will always be something missing. So we are really asked to do things from the heart, to do things that we are truly passionate about. Mars in Leo, we have to have that passion. Mars is our active energy, our drive, our forward motion. It's us taking action. It's our energy, our vital energy. So when it's in Leo, we are very strongly determined about something. We are encouraged, we are motivated, we are inspired to do it. So we have this motivation now, and Mars makes supportive and friendly aspect with this full moon. It's called trine. It's 120 degrees. So this is helping us. This Mars in Leo is helping us also to wake up the child within us. To wake up the child within us, and to use that kind of energy, that kind of playful energy, passionate energy, heart chakra energy, to break through these barriers, to cleanse our layers of dust that I've mentioned in the beginning of the video, so that we can clear the lenses through which we are looking at, so that we can clear our projector. So we are like the projector, and we are projecting things, and things that are within us are the real thing. And we are projectors, so we have an opportunity now to clean and heal those projectors, so that we can project things in the most appropriate way, in the most comforting way, in the most encouraging way. And this Pluto is also making square with Jupiter and North Node, and also with the South Node. So this square, as I said, is very good, because it gives us this opportunity to break free from something that's been holding us, something that's feeling like we are chained. So we can break free when we have this square, but we may feel like we are breaking. So this can be a breaking point for many of us, and this is like a boiling moment. So it's good, because when we are boiling, we can just burst, but sometimes this is necessary as well, just as long as we don't hurt anyone else along this bursting and exploding. But it's important to do something that we have been tolerating for too long, and we just cannot tolerate it anymore. but this is something that has to do with our own projections and our own fears and our own traumas. We really have to see these things as our helping tools. I always say this, not as something that we should run away from, not as an obstacle. They are not obstacles. Those things are very precisely designed things for us. So everyone has fears and traumas that are perfectly aligned with their growth and their process of evolution, with their journey. It's perfectly designed for each of us. So as long as we run away from those things, as long as we reject those things, we will again and again be confronted with those things. So this is a huge moment of exposure of our shadow, and also exposure of the shadow on a global level too. So the corruption system is falling apart. The old world is crumbling away apart. It's literally being ruined, and that is also happening within ourselves. Our old structures are being completely demolished. Our old structures are falling apart, and we may feel like we are dying, but without this there is no rebirth. Without us being able to die, we cannot be reborn. We cannot learn how to be reborn. Without us being allowing ourselves to be transformed, there is no growth. We cannot grow if we are not transformed. We cannot grow if we persistently deny hurt and pain and fears that we carry. If we persistently and consistently deny and ignore and neglect those things, they will keep growing and they will keep coming back again and again and again. Whenever there is the right moment, whenever there is a right trigger, whenever there is the perfect scenario for it to be exposed again, it will come again, and we will again be delusioned by thinking, oh, this is again happening to me, like how can I escape this? But we cannot escape it. The point is to accept it. The point is to see why is there that repeating over and over again. And of course, we cannot, we think that things are there to stay forever. For example, if we feel bad in some way, we think that this feeling will follow us until the end of time when we feel this way. But it's very important to know that this is never possible. It's not possible to happen because things change all the time. We cannot keep the same feeling within ourselves for longer than I don't know, a couple of moments, and not to talk about years. Some people say I've been depressed for years. It's impossible. It's illusion. We have we have closed ourselves into that state of being. We have created a hermetic box, and we have put ourselves there, and we identified with that feeling, and we think that's it, that's forever, like who can save me? And we search for this help outside of us. But we have to know this, and this full moon is very good one because it enlightens those moments. It puts the light, the spotlight on those things that we have closed into the closed system. It puts the light on those things that we stay stuck in. It puts the light on those things that we avoid as well. So we will be able to see them and recognize them. And we are given this courage because we have this Mars in Leo to step into this unknown territory with the thrill of the newness and the unknown. And Mars is also making square with Jupiter and North Node and with the South Node. So both Pluto and Mars are making a square with the nodes and with Jupiter in Taurus. So it's very important to see that these things will create pressure on us. They will push us into something uncomfortable, but it's our opportunity to walk through that fire. It's our opportunity to walk through that pain. We have to walk through it, but the pain won't leave us until we learn until it gives us what we need to receive. The pain will leave once it has done its job with us. But if we keep running away, it won't deliver us this message. So we have to know this. And there is a quote that I just remembered. I don't know who is it from, but it says that the wound is the place where the light enters. So I know there are many similar quotes of this, and many masters and ancient wise wisdom keepers told us these things, but we somehow take it like some kind of I don't know, wise philosophical statement, but it's not really like that. It's really true. But what we have to do in order to reach that space, to reach that place of serenity, like this old man from the story, we really have to face these things. We cannot run away from them all the time. And what is really also important to know now is that we are never truly alone. I also say this many times in my videos, but it's something that we keep forgetting, and it's easy to forget it because this system, this material realm, this matrix that we live in is built in that way that it creates that field of negative emanation very attractive. It's very attractive, and it's easy to fall into that belief that we are alone, that we are misunderstood, that we are rejected, that we are abandoned, that we are everything but accepted. And that is why we pretend so much in this world. We pretend all the time. We have our masks, every one of us. Of course, we have to have these masks as our protective system, but not to that degree that we forget who we are. Because we have these masks, but we identified with them. We think we are those masks. We think that we are our traumas. We think that we are our fears. We think that we are our emotions and thoughts. We think that we are our pain. We identify with these things, but we are much bigger than our pain. We are much bigger than our traumas. We are much bigger than our thoughts and emotions. And the problem is our belief, Sagittarius, our beliefs. And what we believe in, we manifest. We definitely manifest things that we believe in. And it goes like this. We believe in something, and then because we believe in something, it manifests. Then we see it manifested, and then of course, logically, we believe in those things because they manifested. And so we keep repeating, we keep falling on the same trick. We are somehow stuck in this infinite loop of vicious cycle and circle of our beliefs. So that's how it goes. But who taught us to believe certain things? Who gave us certain beliefs? How did we build certain beliefs? We built some beliefs based on what exactly? Why do we believe, for example, that this life is all that there is, and that death is the complete end, and that we have to live this life in the way that we have to we have to take it all, because this is the only life that we will ever experience, and after that there is eternal darkness. So who taught us these things? Why do we believe these things? So our beliefs really create these manifestations. So for example, how our life would be different if we had different kinds of beliefs, and if we had different kinds of beliefs that we've been told through history. Why do we believe in history? Who knows if the history is valid or not? Nobody can tell us these things. But we have certain beliefs because we have certain affinities towards something. We like this, but we don't like that, so we are going to believe into things that we like, or to things that seem logical and that majority accepted as true. We have to be very careful with our beliefs, and this full moon is here to expose our fake beliefs, expose those beliefs that are very damaging, that are very destructive, that are very unhealthy for us, and we are going to see what kinds of beliefs these are. And the truth will set us free. The knowledge will set us free. But as I said, the truth doesn't have a definition. It's a feeling that we receive through our own being and our body and our sense of being. We just, those moments when we just know something. We don't have to ask, is it true or is it not true? We just know that it is true. So these beliefs are very strong, and beliefs shape our whole reality. With changing our beliefs, we can change our whole universe. If we change one belief in our life, we can completely transform our whole life. Trust me, try it, test yourself. Try to change one belief. You will see how hard it is to change your beliefs, and then when you manage, because of course we can do this, of course we can change beliefs. They are not set in stone. So once we change our beliefs about simple things, it doesn't have to be anything big, we will see how the whole flow of life changes. Our habits start changing, and our habits build our character. So our character will start changing, because we are also not our character. Our character is, as I said, it's our ego. It's something that we use in this world, just like we use the clothes that we have, but we are not our clothes. Just like we enter the car and we ride the car, but we are not our car. So we also identify with our body. But Sagittarius full moon is here to remind us that we are much more than this, that there is a bigger picture, that we are part of the greater organism, we are part of the bigger organism, we are part of of the living, breathing system that exists. Everything is interconnected, everything is helping and supporting something else. Just like in nature, everything is related, the whole system, the sun and the air and the sea and the water and the earth, they all work together in harmony, and they create and bring things to life, bring food to life, trees and plants, and the whole system that gives us, humans beings and animals, ability to live and to have all that we need in order to survive here. We are never truly alone, as I said before. This is truly important to know. We are always related to something and someone, but we fall into this illusion of separation, and this illusion of separation is what gives us the root cause of the suffering. But everything is connected. We cannot live without breathing air, right? We need air for breathing. And who gives us this air? Who provides us air? Who gives us air? Like, we cannot live alone. We cannot live, we need food as well. Who gives us this food? Who provides us the food? Who is the creator of the food? Who is the creator of the air? Who gives us thoughts? Who gives us exactly those thoughts that we are alone, or that we are too important or not important at all? Who gives us these thoughts? Who gives us beliefs? Who is the creator of those beliefs and thoughts? So we are never alone, and we have to see who are we in all of this. Who am I in all of this, and how am I connected with everything? How I serve into this life? How do I contribute? Because we all have to contribute in some way. Everything is serving its purpose. Who gives the seed? We have the trees and the plants and the fruits, the food, but who gives the seed of those things? Who is the creator of the seed? So everything is connected. Our body wouldn't be able to survive without the elements, without air, fire, earth and water, without these elements, without ether as well, that creates all those elements that are dense and that create the matter. So how would we exist without those things? And how can we say that we are alone then? How are we alone when we are constantly in contact with everything that there is? And this time is very significant to remember those things, to remember who we are, to remember who we are behind those characters and masks and traumas and fears and pains and egoic needs and needs to satisfy all kinds of things within ourselves. Who are we behind all of those things? Who are we when we go to sleep at night, when there is nobody close to us, when we are alone with our thoughts? Who are we then? What are we afraid of? What are our thoughts like during those times? Who are we when we wake up? What are our first thoughts when we wake up? What gives us this ability to live? How can we say that we are alone when each night we fall asleep and each day we wake up? Who gives us this ability? Who charges us? Where is our charger? So we are much more than all of this. We are much more than all of this. And this is really a moment when we are able to dig deep, to dig deeper than we usually do, because we have these eclipses and now we have Pluto playing important part. And Pluto, the ruler of the Scorpio, Mars is also the ancient ruler of the Scorpio, and they are both opposing each other. Venus is also opposing Pluto. So it's very personal, as I said, and it's very deep and intense. So we are digging deep, we are investigating ourselves. We can investigate ourselves thanks to our projections with others. We can investigate our deepest fears, our subconscious fears. There is this square with Saturn, as I said. So this square with Saturn in Pisces will give us an access to those subconscious fears. So let's not run away from them. Let's not be afraid of those subconscious fears, because, as I said, they are our tools. They are tools that are helping us to understand the processes of life, to understand the processes of transformations and of ups and downs, of our personal hell and personal heaven. These things are within us, and we sometimes manifest hell and we sometimes manifest heaven, and we sometimes, of course, manifest both, the mixture of both. And it's very important to know that this is the time now when also we are able to clearly see the split in our mind, our mental split, because this Sagittarius energy is very mental, very strong mental energy, and we can see this mental split and we can work on the union of that split, on the fusion of that split. We can experience the mental sunshine now. We can experience this for real, and it's an ongoing battle. It can be very exhausting, but it's exhausting only because we are trying to escape it. So we are running away from it all the time. Of course it's exhausting because we cannot run away from it. So it becomes, it starts giving us a very amazing, a very beautiful and amazing energy once we stop running away and we turn around and we look at it. We look at our projections, we look at those subconscious fears, we look at those things that we are afraid of the most, and we find the purpose by creating the purpose every moment. We are the co-creators. We are the ones who create the purpose. We are given this power to create the purpose every time, every day, every moment. The purpose is not something that we are going to discover by some miracle. No, purpose is something that we create. We are able to create it over and over again, and then we realize that we ourselves are purpose. I am purpose just by being who I am, right here where I am. Just as the tree has its purpose just by being there where it is. So all of us, you all, are purpose by yourself in a whole, because you are right where you are, with who you are, with all the codes and traumas and pains and subconscious confusions and fears that you carry. So we are all purpose by ourselves. Each and every one of us carry this purpose. But somehow we fail to recognize that we are the purpose, because, as I said, we are too blocked by our subjective projections, because it's much easier to get lost in that feelings of either anger or self-victimization, or need to prove ourselves, or need to compete and win, or lose or gain something. And we are most of the time focused on the things that we can lose. Even if we are focused on the winning, we are focused on the things that we can lose. Who forbids us to focus, to shift this focus and to focus more on the things that we can gain? So instead of being focused on the things that we can lose, let's try to focus on things that we can gain, because nobody is standing on our way to do this. Nobody's really stopping us from doing this. So let's try to do this with our conscious effort, and let's trust these energies. Let's trust our pain, trust our traumas, trust our fears, trust our subconsciousness. Even if we are terrified to death of it, let's give our best to trust these things, because, as I said, they are specially designed for us. These things are specially designed for us. And this Sagittarius energy is also reminding us to remember that we are whole. We shouldn't split ourselves. We are whole as we are, because Sagittarius is all represented as a centaur, as a mythical being that is half human and half horse. The upper part of the body is human, the lower part of the body is animal. So this is again the connection of the rider of the horse and the horse itself, the logic and the intuition, the connection of both, the union of the both. And in that union, love emerges. In that union, heart chakra flourishes. So the connection of these polarities, of our animal instincts and our human abilities, we have both in ourselves, and we cannot deny either of them. So this is very powerful moment, like bow and arrow, human part, animal part. We need both of these. We need to download and upload things. We need to transform these things. We ourselves are the transmitters. We ourselves are these powerful devices. Human being is a very powerful device when we know how to use it, just like in technology. And we will see the power of technology with Pluto in Aquarius for sure. Pluto will be in Aquarius for 20 years once it finally settles in Aquarius, which will happen around the end of 2024. So it will be in Aquarius until 2044. So we are going to see some crazy things with technology. And we start seeing them already. But we have to remember that the greatest advanced technology is us human beings. It's all hidden within ourselves. We are the greatest computer that there is, and consciousness is the most powerful processor that there is. But we have forgotten how to use these things because we have forgotten who we are. So this is the moment to remember these things. It's now, it's happening, and we have to do these things. We have to stand up for ourselves and take that wheel in our hands and learn how to use this most advanced technology that we have. It's us being human beings, our mental body, our emotional body, our physical body, our spiritual body, our astral body, all our bodies. It doesn't matter what is the name of these bodies, it doesn't matter on which level they are, but we have to learn to feel them and to learn how to use them. And this is something that is happening for all of us, because as long as this shadow is being exposed, we are able to peel off these layers, like the onion layers. We are able to peel them off and to polish ourselves like diamonds. And yeah, I think this is more than enough material to chew and process and digest for this full moon and this upcoming period. This is truly amazing time that we are alive right now. It's really powerful time to be alive right here and right now. We have all the tools, all the knowledge that has been hidden, that has been hidden for only the chosen ones, for the secret societies, for the members of the hermetic clubs and occult teachings. These teachings are now available not only through books and information that is being shared, but it's also available through our own ability to heal ourselves. Because when we heal ourselves, these codes within ourselves will start to work. They will start to function, and we can become the full spectrum human being. So I highly recommend to all of you to visit our Moon Omens website, and there you can find amazing information and content. And this information is not only raw information. It has something there encoded that has the power to awaken our true selves and to remember us. It's a reminder. It's not truly an information, it's more of a reminder. All of the content there serves as a reminder for us to remember who we are. And I highly recommend truly the book The Age of Aquarius, which is, I think, crucial to have as some kind of manual during this time, and also the book about the moon and the feminine goddesses. Those two are full of symbolisms and breaking codes of what it all means, and it can help us to rest our tense nervous systems. It can help us to stretch our perception, because we need this stretching. We need it, really. It's stiff, and when we are stiff, our DNA is also stiff. I talked about this some time ago, long time ago. But when we are relaxed, when we are stretched, our DNA also is stretched, and then it looks like that nice, elegant spiral, double helix spiral. But when we are stiff and when we are worried, when we are in fear, that DNA doesn't look like that. It's very, it's closed completely. So I highly recommend that kind of material. I also recommend you all to read our astrology articles written by amazing astrologer Lucrezia. And I also recommend you to check our new articles about crystals. They are amazing, with meditations and everything there. It's really some very rich material written by Jenna. So we have an amazing team with Moon Omens here, and you also have monthly horoscopes there. And so many people work on those monthly horoscopes because, as you know, if I work for myself, I have to work for everyone. And if I work for everyone, I also work for myself. And this is how we can help each other all the time. This is what I'm talking about when I say that in nature, everything is supporting everything else. There is a system there. So, but this is a natural system. And now we are also coming back to those roots where we can create this natural system through connection of the heart chakra with our fellow brothers and sisters in the world, and with who we truly are. So I highly recommend you go and check those things out. And I want to thank you all for amazing comments on each of these videos that we make here. They are really, really powerful. I am so happy to see that this community is alive and it's working. It's there. People are transferring their energy in an amazing way, in a deep and profound way, in an awakening way. So I encourage you again to comment, to share, to express your feelings, your journey during this time. And I hope that this really can help at least some of us to somehow break through those subconscious fears and learn from them, that we can somehow make an effort to make a progress, at least for this little, because any forward movement is a forward movement, and sometimes, of course, we have to step back in order to move forward again. So let's not be afraid of moving backwards as well. Everything is fine. Remember the story of the old man. Remember that without losing our minds, because this Sagittarius full moon can put us into that place as well, the shadow side of Sagittarius, losing our mind. So let's work on creating that mental sunshine and connecting our broken and lost parts into the fusion of the whole human being. I love you all and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.